I welcome you all on the online webinar series of Law Students Council. This is Waqar Ahmad, Secretary, Legal Research and Drafting. I will be the host of our today's session. So, the session of our topic of our today's session is the domains of constitutional institutions with respect to the Constitution of Pakistan. So, before I formally begin our today's session, let me welcome our honorable guest, Shahzada Rahim Abbas. He did his bachelor in international affairs and politics from the International Islamic University back in 2015, and currently he is pursuing his master's in international relations from the People's Friendship University of Eurasia. Apart from this, Sir is also a great writer, researcher, as well as a geopolitical analyst. In this regard, Sir usually appears on the screen of different national and international news channels like RT News, Trt News, as well as Al Jazeera as a political analyst. Well, Sir is also serving as a CEO of different online news platforms named as The Radical, Outlook, as well as the Eurasian Post. We welcome you, sir, and thank you so much, sir, for your precious time and positive response. Law Students Council really feel an honor to have you today in our session. So before any
Thank you
further
so much
delay,
for having me. Thank you for having me.
Before any further delay, my very first question, in order to start our today's session, that is kindly, sir, tell us that what do we mean by the domains of constitutional institutions?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And I appreciate Law Student Council has given me opportunity to talk on such an important issue, on an important topic, I would say. Because we have a long history of the Constitution. We have a long constitutional history, if we dig out the history of the general history of Pakistan. And let me tell you, the Pakistan is still suffering. We are still in the middle of whether we are a nation state or nation or ethnographic state, because we're facing a lot of problems when it comes to the nationalities and the general ideology of Pakistan. So when we talk about the institutions, for every modern state, institutions are very important. And when we talk about the constitutional domain, when we talk about institutions, the constitutional domain, it's well defined. There are different institutions within every country which are very important for the stability, in order to ensure governance, in order to ensure the rule of law, in order to ensure stability, progress, and development. The institutions are really required. So when we talk about the constitutional domain, it's really defined. In every state, there are 4 pillars of state. We all know that. We have executive, we have judiciary, we have legislative. These all are the institutions which are very important for the development of any country. And this has been defined by the constitutions and laws throughout it. There's a whole constitutional history behind this whole development of the institutions in every country. If we go back, one of the major transformation or revolution, I would say, when it comes to the institutional development in the world history was the French Revolution. After the French Revolution, everything changed. How? The Stone Age, the Middle Age Europe was transformed into a modern republic, the new concept of republic came. So with this concept of republic, a new concept of institutions came forward. So the monarchy was ended, the autocracy was ended, the feudal structure was broken down in Europe, and a new form of institutions started developing in the mainstream Europe, we have seen. And those institutions, over the period of centuries, have spread all over the world. And now today we are living in a modern nation state. So for any state to be modern, the institutions are really required. So as in the context of Pakistan, we know that Pakistan has been a fragile state when it comes to the institutions, especially within the domain of constitutions, because we faced more coups than any other country in the world. Me and India, we separated, India and Pakistan, got independence from the British Raj in 1947. So we became independent states. But if we compare Pakistan and India has never suffered from the military coups or dictatorships, but Pakistan suffered. We have seen after the adoption of the Objective Resolution in 1949, we have seen a really transformed constitutional development in our country in the form of a 1956 constitution. But unfortunately, within the period of 2 years, we have seen the first coup in the country in the form of Ayub Khan. And the rest of the constitutional development occurred under the Ayub's regime. back in 1960s. We call it like 1962 Constitution. And that Constitution was framed in a very bad way. Before that, I want to tell you something. The institutions, like if you want to trace like the constitutional domain of institutions, we really need to study the very framework of like 1956 Constitution, because in 1956 Constitution, we have about like the one unity scheme that became a big debate over the period of coming decades. And then we have seen like in the 1962 Constitution under Ayub, this was whole a new technocratic form of structure was introduced. Institutions were introduced in our country. But I will not go into detail of that history. That's a different thing. But when we talk about the modern institutions, like Pakistan have like, a well-defined boundary parameters for the judiciary, a well-defined parameters for the executive, a well-defined parameters for the legislative, for the parliament or the old legislative branch. But unfortunately, there have been a much controversy when it comes to the exercise of the powers, execution of powers by these three major branches, which are defined by the Constitution. We have seen like there have been a conflict of interest between judiciary as parliament throughout history. Like if we take the concept try to understand the concept of the development of institutions in the light of 1973 Constitution, the 1973 Constitution was like a turning point for Pakistan. Let me say it like, it has paved the way for the democratic development in the country. But unfortunately, what happened? We have seen like, in law, we say like there are always loopholes. And so in our constitution, there are always loopholes. I want to quote the words of Zia. Zia used to say like, a constitution is just a piece of paper. Whenever I want to tear it, I can tear it. And he tear it down. We have seen like, after just 3 years or 4 years of that constitution, like since the written like drafting of that constitution, since the pass of that constitution, we have seen like a brutal coup in our country. And that lasted for more than 1 decade. And after that, we have seen like a fragile democratic regimes in the form of PPP government, in the form of PMLN government, and the constitutional development remained a big debate in our country. So if the constitutional development remained a debate in your country, so you cannot expect like the development of institutions in certain countries. So I want to recall like a famous book of like the constitutional. This is a famous book. I would suggest to everybody to read it. This is very important book, like 2 decades ago, written by. Wait a second. I would suggest to everyone like this book should, The Constitutional History of Pakistan. It has been written by. Just a minute. Just give me a 1 minute where I put my notes. Yeah. The Myth of Constitutionalism in Pakistan. It was written by Zulfikar Khalid Mulaka. What Zulfikar Khalid Mulaka says, if we are to survive as a nation, a great creative effort is required to evolve an innovative consensus on the perennial political contentions in the domain of Pakistan constitutional jurisprudence. So he says like Pakistan, since its birth, since its inception, has been like in the constitutional crisis. The constitutions has been like abrogated so many times, without taking into account what is the significance of constitution for any country or state. So today there's a big debate in Pakistan. We say Pakistan's nation building process and the state building process have been like in different ways. Like Pakistan has never been there has never been a process of nation building in Pakistan. Pakistan as a nation has always been divided when it comes to the constitutional rights. We can take the example of every province. If you ask everybody, anybody from any provinces in Pakistan, a young guy who's educated, what are the big problem in Pakistan constitution? If you ask them, they will say we don't have sufficient right compared to the Punjabis. If you go to the Sindhis, if you ask them what are the significance of constitution in Pakistan, what you get, they say no, we don't enjoy the equal rights as the people of Punjab. And if you go to the Punjab, if you ask the within the Punjab, the people within the Punjab, the people of the southern Punjab will say we are not enjoying the same rights as the people of northern Punjab are enjoying. So the constitution has always been a debate in our country. So without a sound constitution and without the well-defined boundaries of institution, or without well-defined parameters for the institutional development, I don't think so an institution can be formed or developed in certain countries. So our constitution has been in crisis. So definitely we are facing a huge institutional problem in our country.
Right, sir. Perfect. Thank you very much, sir. You explained in a very good manner. Sir, my very next question is that can you please tell us that what are the circumstances or legalities that creates grounds for the establishment of the constitutional institutions with respect to the Constitution of Pakistan, especially?
Yeah, like we will start like with Aristotle, like the quote of Aristotle. Aristotle used to say, "Law is to go on." So without the rule of law, there can be no constitution. So the big problem in Pakistan is the governance, the rule of law. We have like if you see our constitution, like 1973 constitution, we have 280 articles within that constitution and 7 schedules. But what about the implementation? What about the implementation of those articles which have been written, like which are mentioned in the constitution? If you talk about for the understanding of the legal parameters, like the legal issues in any constitution, like the legal framework of any constitution, you need to understand, how much people are legal, they illiterate about their legal rights. Like if you ask, a 17 years old, yeah, 18 years old person in Pakistan, if he's educated, even like if he has entered into the university, if you ask him about his basic rights as granted by the Pakistani constitution, he's not aware about those rights. We are not being taught, like whatever is written in the constitution, that is just like a classified thing, like that's only like restricted to like some section of the people. Like the majority of people who are taking education, who are studying in the best universities of Pakistan, they even don't know like what are the basic rights as granted by the constitution. So when we talk about like the legal issues within the constitution, so the problem is the legal education, the legal literacy that is lacking in Pakistan. And let me tell you, like I will put this into general perspective. For every democratic nation, for the development of any democratic nation, informed citizenship is very important. And for being an informed citizen, you should know about the basic rights, the parameters, and the importance of the constitution and the rights which is granted to the citizen by the state. We don't know, like there's a huge gap between the state and the citizens. The things which are being done by the state, like the people are not aware about the causes and the consequences, the cost, benefit analysis of those laws. We just accept, let's say tomorrow there is going to be one amendment, a new amendment is coming, which is being passed by the parliament. But there is no debate. We will not see any debate in the media. We will not see any kind of debate in the youth circle, among the young people, in the public sphere. So this is a big problem. Like the problem is the lack of the informed citizenship in our country. So there is no legal literacy in our country, literally speaking. Though we know, we proudly say, Pakistan is a democratic republic. We have the best constitution. If we read it, clearly, the 280 articles, they are very beautiful. Everything is mentioned in it. But the thing is, we are not aware still, what part of the constitution is very important for a citizen. In order to become the citizen of certain country, you should know what kind of rights you are enjoying in certain country. We know, the Citizenship Act, Article 51 of the Pakistani constitution, so it grants you the Citizenship Act. But after becoming citizen, what are your rights? We actually don't know. The young people don't know. Even this is the big dilemma with the educated people. The educated people doesn't know about this legal rights or legal education in the country. So this only restricted to the law students. I don't think so. If you take the example of America, there are 6 constitutions, 6 articles within that constitution. It is the shortest constitution in the world. So if you ask any American citizen, how you will define yourself as an American citizen, he will define himself according to the 21st amendment of that constitution in the American Constitution. The 21st Amendment grants them civil rights. He will speak. He will say like this: I will define myself as American citizen as we the people. We the people means we enjoy freedom. We enjoy the freedom of expression. We enjoy the freedom of speech. We enjoy the freedom of opinion, freedom of thinking, everything, freedom of conscience. But when you come to Pakistan, if you ask a student, even a person who has done bachelor's or master's, what do you mean by the freedom of speech, and which part of your constitution or which article of your constitution gives you this right, and what are the parameters of the freedom of speech according to your constitution? Unfortunately, he is not aware of that particular thing. So this is a big dilemma. The problem is with the legal literacy. We don't have a legal literacy in our country. This is a big problem. It's a huge dilemma, in my opinion. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, as you just defined in your second question, my in this regards, my next question is that can you please tell us that does societies like Pakistan creates any kinds of the role in order to establish the constitutional institutions, or constitutional institutions are permanent in nature with the origin of the state?
Oh,
Please, sir.
constitution. Let me tell you, let me tell you, like Pakistan is a federal republic. So if you really want to understand the concept of federation in our country, you really have to dig into the constitutional matters. Like the constitution of Pakistan says Pakistan is a federal republic, but the federation has been a big problem in our country. Like there is no mutual consensus. Like how do you really develop the institutions? Like if you don't give, if you go, there are centripetal, if you take the concept the federation of Pakistan, the concept of federation in Pakistan, like in Pakistan, in the context, like in the light of the constitution. So you will find two kind of forces in that particular federation. The centripetal forces. The centripetal forces are the elites who have concentrated, who have centralized all the power in their hands, and they are running this whole, governing this whole federative structure as defined by the constitution. And there are centrifugal forces, which are like ethnographic Pakistan federation. You will see Baloch, you will see Pakhtuns, you will see Punjabis, you will see Sindhis. They all are they have different perception of the Pakistani federation. And to go in further into deeper, if you take the example of the 18th Amendment, let me tell you, the 18th Amendment, which was passed in 2010, was the biggest revolution in the constitutional history of Pakistan, because it had defined every boundary. But there's a problem. The 18th Amendment has just changed the names of provinces, but it failed to create the mutual consensus among the provinces regarding the constitutional institutions within the country. Though we have a huge hierarchy, we have a good structure. Like if you go towards our judiciary, we have high courts, we have Supreme Court, we have appellate courts, we have little small circuits like session courts, district courts. But the thing is about the functionality, how much functional they are. If you go to the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in Pakistan, 1.8 million cases are still pending over there. So this raises a huge question. Though the court is very sound, the people are very educated, the judges are well educated, well experienced. But the thing is, does that particular institution serve the people of Pakistan? Does this institution serve the society? Does this institution serve the nation? No, it does. It just serves the state, the only centripetal forces in our country. So the thing, whenever comes this debate about the institution, and there's a huge gap between people and these institutions, these all branches, whether it's the parliament, whether it's the executive, whether it's the judiciary. Let me tell you, an ordinary person in Pakistan cannot access easily these institutions, whether it's court, whether it's parliament, whether it's executive. They are just for the centripetal forces. So the centrifugal forces are totally out of this particular state structure. So there's a huge division. So when you go to social sphere, people are much divided. There is no mutual consensus. So the question, like you said, whether the constitution perimeter they're important for the institutional development, or whether the institutional development depends on the constitution, let me tell you, if there is no parallelity, and there is no auxiliary measures, and if there is no mutual consensus among different communities within a nation, let me tell you, neither the constitution can work, neither the institution can be developed. And this is what we are facing today. Let's suppose, let me give you an example. If certain case regarding Balochistan is coming to the Supreme Court, it remains in pending for months, for years. If a case from Sindh is coming to the Supreme Court, it remains pending for years, for decades. If a case from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is coming to the Supreme Court, it also remains pending for a long time. If a case from the Southern Punjab is coming to the Supreme Court, it also remains pending for a long time. So the thing is, the elite which has concentrated this whole power structure within the country is not allowing the ordinary citizen to access to these institutions. So if the ordinary people, which are in majority in certain country, have not access to these institutions, neither the constitutions any importance, neither those institutions have any importance for that particular country or for that particular nation. So this is the unfortunate section, in our country. So the thing is, there should be a mutual consensus. There should be a access, the ordinary people should access this institution. Why there's a huge gap between the people and these institutions, which are very important, which are really defining the nature of certain state. But our case, like though we are democratic, we say like we are democratic state. We have constitution, we have institutions, but those institutions and constitution are very far away from the ordinary people, from the society. It isolates the society. The ordinary people are not like involved into that particular institution development process or the constitution development process. The constitution and institutions, these all are being run and all are being defined by the narrow elite in our country. This is the unfortunate thing for us. Like as a young generation, as a young lawyers, like I would say, like there are needs of legal reforms. The Pakistan really needs legal reforms, not just in the criminal justice system, in the whole legal system. And this is what the legal experts who are like renowned, like who are famous, they're saying this, like legal reforms are really needed. It's the, like a 11th R for the Pakistan. The legal reforms are really needed in order to reduce this gap between the people, community, nation, and these institutions, which are important in any state, or important for any state. Yeah, you can go.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Perfect. Sir, in order to proceed our session, well, my question is that what happens most of the times? What happens when constitutional institutions does not follow their domains or does not remain in their domain? Especially like in the society where, like the society in Pakistan, where the constitutional institutions, like the parliament, is the supreme institution. So what happens when constitutional institutions does not follow their domains?
Let me tell you, like the problem is not with the constitution. The problem is with the practice of those laws and rules which have been already made, which has already been have been mentioned in the certain book of the constitution, certain in the constitution. If you go to the Montesquieu, like what Montesquieu said, the separation of power. So when it comes to the separation of power, means there are three major departments. We have a legislative branch, which is responsible for making laws and for defining the legal future of certain country. Then we have an executive branch, which will always check on the legislative branch. And then there is a judiciary, whose responsibility to interpret those laws which have been passed by the legislative and executive branch. So the case is different. Like their domains are totally defined by the constitution. The problem is the check and balances. Right now, like since the inception of our country, not just right now, like if you take the example like of the military coups in our country, the judiciary has been remained like in the forefront. Still today, when we talk about the murder of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, majority of the people say it was a judicial murder. Why is this? Why courts are always being blamed? And recently, I will not go like too much deeper into the history. I will give you the recent example, like what happened in Pakistan and what's happening in Pakistan on April 12th. The so-called vote of no confidence. I'm neither the support of Imran Khan. Let me make it clear. I neither support Nawaz Sharif, neither the support of. I don't have any party. But the thing is, the constitution was kicked in such a way that, like, and I was shocked. What's going on, like, in the parliament? And like we have seen a great show in the parliament, like for months. Like after a month, after like the period of 1 month, we have seen like this vote of no confidence came, and out of nowhere, the courts were opened at night. And what happened after that? When Imran Khan was overthrown, Imran Khan started blaming the courts, the judges, which have opened the courts like out of nowhere at nights, like at the midnights. And what was the actual slogan, like the narrative, the history of the Imran Khan was that, like, if an ordinary person have certain case pending in the Supreme Court or in the High Court, they will never open for it. But in such an important, like it was not even an important matter. The constitution was reowned, like with a vote of no. If you talk about the vote of no confidence, everything is clearly mentioned. Like if the defection occurs within the parliament, what it says, the constitution is according to 18th amendment, like that person must be dequalified. But what happened? Everything was changed. There was a huge defection within parties, among parties within the parliament, and they like defected from a ruling party to the opposition party, and they started like voting against their own prime minister and overthrow him. And who supported this particular illegitimate measure? Yes, the courts, legal courts. I don't want to blame I don't want to like put direct blame on them. Like the thing is about the parameters, about the check and balances. The institution which we have like in our country, like the all branches, like whether it's legislative, executive, or the judicial branch, there is no concept of check and balances, unfortunately. So what Montesquieu said, like if there are no check and balances among these institutions, then there will always be a clash. And we have seen there has been a clash. And let me tell you, the judiciary is very important organ in every country. If you don't have a sound judiciary, if you don't have an impartial judiciary, the other two departments branches cannot work properly, because the judiciary is the supreme branch. It's the interpreter of the law. It's the custodian of the law. But unfortunately, in Pakistan, the legal parameters, we have seen, like, the case of Qais Faizisa. Even the legal society was divided on this case, on a supreme judge. And from where those allegations came and how this whole episode happened, we have seen, like, the whole legal system became, became the victim of the whole this political game. So this shouldn't be. Why our judiciary is becoming again and again controversial? The thing is, the judiciary, I guess, some of the people, I will not blame the whole institution. I will blame some people within those institutions who are trying to interfere, who are trying to attract, drag these political dramas within the judiciary affairs, and the judiciary becomes political, and it becomes controversial. So it's the highest apex court of our country. It's the custodian of our constitution. It's the custodian of stability in our country. But unfortunately, what happened? The courts have been playing a very negative role in the country, and there's no check of balances. Every time we have seen, when it comes to the battle between a constitutional battle emerges in our country, the major battle occurs between the parliament and the judiciary. The judiciary becomes more political and the parliament becomes more apolitical. So this is a big problem. In our country, it works in a very different way, exactly opposite what is going on in the rest of the world, unfortunately. So for any constitutional development and democratic development in every country, the separation of power must be ensured. They must be followed as per defined by the constitution. And there should be the concept of check and balances. If there is no concept of check and balances among the institutions, so they will always collapse, clash with each other. There will always be conflict of interest. And as recently we have seen, the court has again become, Supreme Court has again become the victim of this whole political drama. So why the Supreme judges, the high excellencies, in the Supreme Court, they are not taking this issue into account? Why Supreme Court is again and again becoming the victim of the political episode in our country? So there should be a concept of check and balances in our country. The institution should work according to their own parameters, according to their own defined boundaries as defined by our constitution. But unfortunately, in Pakistan, this doesn't occur. There has always been interference between the executive, legislative, and judiciary. There is always a clash and conflict of interest. This is unfortunate, let me tell you.
Right, sir. Perfect, sir. You defined it in a very good manner. You explained each and everything of the question. Thank you very much, sir. Well, sir, can you please
Sir, I believe Mr. Waqar is facing some internet issues. So we just want to...
Yeah.
Waqar, can you hear
apologies
us?
for the yeah. Sure. Apologies for the internet connection issue.
No problem. No problem. No issue.
Please continue.
Sir.
Yeah.
Well, sir, can you please define that? Most of the times, people debate on the topic. Rules and laws must be amended to define the domain and role of the local. So, if you think that it must be amended, so should be amended, please, sir.
Yeah, amendments are very important for the development of any constitution. The constitution cannot remain permanent as it is, because it should be changed according to the needs and perception of the people. So what I will tell you, when we talk about the amendment, the general context is like a ijtihad within certain law. So the concept of ijtihad is very ancient. If there is no ijtihad, when who does the ijtihad? The parliament. The parliament brings these amendments. Why the parliament brings these amendments? The amendments are very important when it comes to the strength. If you want to make any constitution stronger, you should bring the amendments, and the amendments are very important for development of any constitution. If you take the example of the America, since the 17th century, we have seen there are 27 amendments, just 6 articles, 27 amendments. And let me tell you, if you take into account like the 27 amendments, the 27 amendments were the actual development of the constitutional historical development in the American history. So if you remove those amendments, let me tell you, like the whole American Constitution is nothing. The six articles are just six articles are not enough to define the modern America. Those 27 amendments are very important if you really want to understand the modern American legal structure. So the same case in Pakistan, like we have also like made several amendments according to the needs of the time. So if you take into the account the 18th Amendment, just I mentioned in your earlier question, the 18th Amendment was the biggest revolution in our country. How? Right now, like though the 18th Amendment is a discourse, it's the content of debate and discussion in our country. But the thing is, like, I'm not a legal expert, but as far as like, according to my short knowledge, small knowledge of the legal matters, I believe that the 18th Amendment has strengthened the 1973 Constitution in our country. Why? There are three major reasons for this. Number first, it has strengthened, emboldened the concept of federation in our country. It has defined like every province should have its own autonomy. It has granted the real federation rights to the different provinces in our country. Number second, it has clearly defined this, like before the 18th Amendment, we have seen like every journal who used to impose martial law, they used to use this 58 to be section of the part of the Constitution in order to abrogate the Constitution and in order to impose a dictatorship in the country. But the 18th Amendment says whoever will try to abrogate or conspire against the Constitution of Pakistan would be held as a traitor, and he should be tried according to the article, the treason section of the Article 5 of the Constitution. And the number second, like the further section, the section B of the same article says if someone will collaborate in that particular conspiracy in order to abrogate the Constitution, he will also be considered as the treason. Like it will also consider the Article 5 will also be applicable on that. So this is actually close the doors for this kind of conspiracies, which we have seen in our past history. Like it has closed the doors for the dictatorship, any more dictatorship or military coups in our country. So because this article clearly says whoever will try to conspire against the Constitution of Pakistan, he will be held accountable. But there are major amendments, other amendments too. Like it depends on the nature of the amendment, what kind of amendments you are bringing. I don't want to directly criticize any institution here, but the thing is, if you talk about the 13 amendments which have been brought passed in 2011 or 2012, like the establishment of the military court, I mean to say, which remained functional till 2019. This was a big rift within your legal system. Like you have a Supreme Court, you have a High Court, you have other local circuits. So why you need separate courts to trial the military affairs? Does the institution of military doesn't comes within the state? Definitely, the institution of military is a part of a state, not the state is a part of military institutions. So just for one institution, why they're establishing separate courts for their trials? And this amendment has been passed by the parliament. This is a big issue. We have to take into account this. Though I know, the amendments are very important. It's about the need of time. Like when you need it, you have to eat it. They always exercise this ancient concept of law, like the doctrine of necessity. So when there is a necessity, you should amend the Constitution according to the needs and requirements of the needs and requirements of the time. But unfortunately, we have seen that the amendments have served. Some amendments have contributed positively in the development of our Constitution, but some amendments have remained controversial till this date. The people are still debating what were the actual reason behind bringing those amendments. Was there any debate or mutual consensus between the people of Pakistan and the parliament about those amendments? Let me tell you, when you ask about the word amendment from any ordinary person in Pakistan, he might not know what amendment is. But we see it has been written a lot of amendments, 26 amendments, 27 amendments, they have been passed so far, but people doesn't know what were the actually reason behind this. And the other thing is the 18 Amendment stuff, definitely, the 18 Amendment was one of the biggest revolutions in the constitutional history of Pakistan. It has contributed a lot in the positive development, democratic development. Though the PPP claims for this, but the thing is, the biggest reason behind the this constitution development was the lawyers' movement of 2008, 2007 and 2008 against the Musharraf regime. The lawyers community in Pakistan has contributed a lot in this for the that paved the way for this particular amendment in our country. So the amendments, let me tell you, in general context, the amendments are very important for the constitutional development of any country. So the amendments are everywhere, not just in Pakistan, but it depends what kind of amendments you're bringing in your constitution, and whether those amendments are being made with the mutual consensus or not. Mutual consensus is very important. You should involve the public. You should debate those amendments. The public's affairs should know what's going on in the parliament. But unfortunately, in Pakistan, like the amendment, every day the amendments are being passed, but the people are not aware about those amendments. Like, what is the actual reason behind bringing those amendments in the constitution? Yeah.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Perfect. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, my next question is that it has been seen that constitutional institutions has been suffering, Pakistan has been suffering from the failure of different constitutional institutions. Here, all the problems and the failure of the institutions can be resolved.
Yeah,
Yes,
the thing
sir.
is, like, we have discussed this. Yeah, we have discussed this, like, in the first and second part of the questions, like in the first and second question about this. Like, the problem is, like, for the institutional development of any country, for institutional development in any country, there should be like good governance. There should be the rule of law. And I quote like Aristotle even, like, law is to govern. And if there is no rule of law, there is no constitution. If there is no constitution, there can't be like better institutions. The problem in our country is we have a constitution, we have democracy, but the problem is, like, in what parameter, in what directions the constitutions, the institutions are being developed. But the thing is, like, in Pakistan, we have seen the state building process. The state building process have begun like since the inception of Pakistan, but there hasn't been nation building. The nation building process has always been a question in the history of Pakistan. Right now, I cannot define Pakistan as a nation state. We cannot define Pakistan as a nation state. Why? Because there is no mutual consensus. There is no like popular slogans like which like if a state says like we are going to do this, and I'm really sure like there would be opposition from the different ethnicities in our country. Pakistan is really an ethnographic state. First, we have to we have to understand this. Let me suggest you one one good book, The Politics of Identity by Adil Hashmi. By Adil Khan. Everybody should read this if they really want to understand the really ethnographic structure of the Pakistani society, of the Pakistani state. But here, what we have seen, like, Pakistan must be defined, like whether it's a nation state or whether it's an ethnographic state. But as far as we know, like what the realities are saying, Pakistan is an ethnographic state. So the centrifugal forces have always been strong. Like when it comes to when it comes to the discourse of rights in Pakistan, but Baloch, Sindhis, Pakhtuns, even like parts of Punjab, they're saying like we are not getting what we deserve and what has been defined by the Constitution of Pakistan. So if there's a huge this kind of socio-political disruption or ethnographic tension among the different ethnicities within the country and among the provinces, so how could you expect like a parallel, a straightforward development of institutions in a certain country? It can't be. There must be a sense. And the second thing I explored and I mentioned in the second part of our question, like informed citizenship. Informed citizenship is very important in every country for the democratic development of any country, But unfortunately, in Pakistan, we lack this particular thing. We are not informed citizens. We always love conspiracies. We always love tensions. We always love these cross-sectional debates, like based on ethnicity, based on gender. Like these are the not real issues. The real issues of Pakistan is like, are we like as a nation? Can we define ourselves like as a nation? This should be the question. Is Pakistan a nation? If Pakistan is really a nation, so there should be a mutual consensus among us on real issues of Pakistan. Real constitution of Pakistan is about the institutions of Pakistan. But the thing is, unfortunately, we don't have a mutual consensus when it comes to the constitution and the institutions within the country. The institutions always been remain controversial, and the constitution has always remained controversial because the people lack the legal literacy. The people doesn't know what constitution is and what is mentioned in the constitution and what are their rights within the granted by mentioned in the constitution. And the thing is, the institutions which are working under the as defined by the constitutional parameters, are they working according to the parameters like defined by the constitution? We doesn't know about this. This is the biggest problem. The legal literacy is required. Like if you really want to see some change, like in this whole development process, the thing is, like since the inception of Pakistan, the state building process have been like very strong. The narrow elite has confined everything, whether it's in the form of confederation, federation. The power has always been centralized by the narrow elite, which are still governing the country. But the rest of the majority of the population, they're still engaged in this kind of thing. Like when you ask a Sindhi, he will say, I'm a Sindhi first. If you ask a Baloch, he will say, I'm a Baloch first. If you ask a Pakhtun, he will say, I'm a Pakhtun first. If you ask a Punjabi, he will say, I'm a Punjabi first. So where is Pakistan? The thing is, this general discourse is missing in our country. This whole national thing is, this whole national spirit is missing in our country. So if this thing is missing in your country, you cannot expect like a clear development process, democratic process in your country. There should be a mutual consensus among the ethnicities, among the provinces within the country. Unfortunately, we don't have that. So you cannot expect a positive development, a constitutional development or institutional development in any country. So we are facing like this kind of civil strife every day on major issues. So the people are not united on the constitutional matters. How many people are united on the constitutional matters? Like recently we have seen like what's happening in the country. We are in huge political mess. But the thing is, what is the actual problem of the country? What is actual what's actual meaning being a Pakistani? We doesn't know about this. First, we need to learn what is actually mean to being a Pakistani. If we understand this particular thing, then we can understand the rest of the things like what is constitution or what the institution. So until and unless we don't have this particular literacy, this basic literacy about our own nationality of being a citizen of certain nation, if you don't have this particular sense, I don't think so there can be any development, whether in the constitutional sphere or institutional sphere. It's unfortunate.
Right, sir. Perfect. Thank you very much, sir. You almost defined each and everything about my question. Well, sir, it is most of the times debated that legislative reforms towards the working of parliament's ability in a very effective manner is very much important. Like we have just discussed that institutions are not working in their domains. So how it could be possible to make legislative reforms to make institutions to work in their domains? Sir, please have a light on the question that how it could be possible to make institutions to have legislative reforms and work in their domains. Please, sir.
Yeah, this is a very important question. We have been suffering on this very issue for a very long time. There has always been a blame game, you know that, among the institutions. If some important issue occurs, the parliament blames the judiciary starts blaming the parliament has started blaming the executive, the executive starts blaming the parliament. Are you getting me? And so there's a huge history about this whole clash between the institutions, between these branches in our country. The thing is, how these institutions can be put in their own domain, in their own power domains as defined by the constitution. This is a huge, this is a question. This is even question from, I will ask from myself, how this can happen. It's very difficult to answer, but the thing is, how these branches are working in other countries. We can take the example, we inherited this kind of democracy, this whole constitutional thing, this whole legal setup from the Great Britain. Why these institutions are working properly in Great Britain and it's not working well in our country? The thing is, the development, the proper use of this institution, the proper functions of this institution. Unfortunately, these institutions doesn't know about their parameters. And the thing is, the people who are working in these institutions, they are not well literate, what is actually the responsibility. The thing is all things boil down to the self-responsibility. There is no concept of self-responsibility in the institutions. One person comes, let's say, a chief justice comes, or a prime minister comes, a speaker of the assembly comes, You become the speaker. If a speaker like remains for 5 years, definitely. If the government remains for 5 years or 4 years, 3 years, it's not possible in our country. Like the most of the governments always fall like before 5 years, and we have seen like throughout our history. But if he comes, like he takes such kind of decisions, that becomes a legal issue in our country some years later. Let's talk about the dissolution of the parliament. How many times like the parliament has been dissolved in our country? And it has been done by a certain executive, and that executive has always become a controversial personality in our country. And take the example of Justice Sajjad back in 1996, when this whole Supreme Court was strong. Why a parliamentary have strong the high appellate high court, the Supreme Court of the Pakistan. This is a big question. Like the institution has always been in clash. Why the institutions are in clash? They don't know really about their power domains. The Supreme Court really doesn't know about its power domain. It's always over exercises. The parliament doesn't know about its actual authority, the actual domain of the power. There's no literacy even among the lawmakers. They don't know what is actual power of the parliament. The parliament is the supreme institution of any country. The people, 200 million people in Pakistan, we have 200 million people in Pakistan, or more than that. We don't know about the actual census. But the thing is, the people, 200 million people are electing this parliamentarian, are sending them to the parliament. But what they're doing in that parliament, they don't know actually the power, the actual power of that parliament, like that particular building, where they're sitting and making and defining the future of the country. The thing is about this power, the power domain literacy. The people like the parliamentarians doesn't know about the power domain of the parliament, and the supreme judges doesn't know about the actual power. They always try to exercise above their power domain. And they always you use this concept, the doctrine of necessity, or this kind of thing. It's important when it comes to so who are the saviors of this country? Whether it's judiciary, whether it's the parliament, whether it's executive. Until and unless there's a consensus, there are properly defined power parameters among these institutions, you cannot save the state. That state will not become a strong state. That will always remain a fragile state. So when these institutions clash with each other, you cannot expect a stronger, a sound state anywhere in the world. So these institutions are very important. They should work. What constitutions tell them, what constitutions defines their powers, and what are the parameters, what are the boundaries under which they can work. But the thing is, in Pakistan, there has always been a conflict of interest, because every institution tries to dominate one another. So we have seen there is always a huge standoff between the parliament and the judiciary. Whenever something happens, the parliamentarians the lawmakers also always blame the judiciary. And whenever something happens in the judiciary start blaming the parliament. The parliament says we don't want judiciary to be politicized, but the judiciary always attempts to make themselves politically controversial. So this thing should be understood. The legal body, Supreme Court is a real legal body, so it should define itself whether it's a political or a legal body. If it's a legal body, so it should work as what has been defined by the Constitution of Pakistan. They are the interpreter of law. Why they're involving in the political affairs? And if the lawmakers, if the parliamentarians, they should know we are this deciding the fate of 200 million people, so we are more responsible. So we will make such a laws which should not come against the will of the people, against the interests of the people. They should make those laws which will serve the interests of the people. But unfortunately, the defined parameters, the power hold parameters and boundaries defined by the Constitution, this institution hasn't been following for a long time. So this will always remain the debate in our country, unfortunately. So there should be a check and balance, the concept of check and balance among these branches. Unfortunately, we don't have that. The concept of check and balances, the concept of accountability should be brought forward in order to check on the power execution of every institution in the country. That's it. That's my opinion.
Well, sir, right, sir. Right, sir. Perfect. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, I have done questions from my side. With your permission, can we take some of the questions from the comment section? Because our followers are just texting the questions. Can we have some questions from the comment section, sir?
Yeah, I cannot give a professional or legal opinion, but I will give my personal opinion. My shoulders say, sure.
Right,
Go ahead.
Right, sir. Sir, there is a question from our one viewer, Maliha Fayad. She wants to ask that to which extent judiciary can interfere with other state organs. Can you please elaborate in the light of recent political turmoil? Please, sir.
Yeah. Yes. This is very simple. Like the answer is very simple. What is the actual purpose, job of the judiciary? The judiciary is the interpreter of law. If the parliamentarians may go against the law, so the judiciary can intervene. Recently, we have seen the vote of no confidence. They were like they have kicked the law. They have kicked the constitution. The whole constitution was like kicked in such a way that it seemed for a moment that like Pakistan is like a battleground. It's like a country like Somalia where there is no law. There are no institutions. Everybody was going here and there, and the whole like sessions were delayed, and the Supreme Court was totally silent. In this kind of matter, Supreme Court can involve. Like if the parliamentarians are going against the law, if they are violating the law, at that time, it's the responsibility of judiciary to intervene and to correct the situation. But unfortunately, this didn't happen. The vote of no confidence occurred, and the Supreme Court said whatever happened in the parliament, it was right. If I will take the example of Article 63A, the Article 63A, clause 1 and section B, and the part 3 of that particular clause says, if during the vote of no confidence or during the vote of confidence, if certain member of certain party defects to the other party and votes against his own party, at that time he would be considered as a disqualified. This against law. The Article 63A clearly says this, but unfortunately, Supreme Court didn't interpret it. But I'm not a legal expert, but as a legal expert, you can better explain this thing better than me. But unfortunately, I will say, like in such kind of matters, Supreme Court should play a positive role. But unfortunately, Supreme Court hasn't played a better role. Although the constitution was violated, but the Supreme Court didn't correct it, that particular violation. It has supported that particular violation. It has become a political trend in Pakistan. And let me tell you, we will face the same issues in the coming future. Today, Imran Khan suffered from this. Tomorrow, Nawaz Sharif will suffer. If tomorrow Nawaz Sharif will suffer, day after tomorrow, like Zardari will suffer. Like all are going to face like what goes around comes around. This will happen. Like the constitution will always violate it. So, what ordinary people like us were expecting from the Supreme Court, like I don't say like they should support like Imran Khan. The Supreme Court should like side with Imran Khan or should side with the opposition party. The thing is, they should side with the constitution. What constitution says. Because this is their actual responsibility. It's not about taking sides, whether I'm with Imran Khan or with the opposition parties. No, it's with the, like whom I'm like. You are with the constitution. You are the interpreter of the constitution. You are the custodian of the constitution. So you should like take into account this thing, whether the constitution was violated or not. But as a legal, I'm not a legal expert, as a political expert, I would say like the Article 63A was really violated during the vote of no confidence. But unfortunately, Supreme Court has not played a positive role in this whole process. This would be my response. Only in this kind of case, Supreme Court can involve. Yeah, next question if you have. We can go ahead.
Perfect. Right, sir. Perfect. Well, sir, there is another follower. He is asking that, what about the political situation we are facing these days? Don't you think Deputy Speaker abrogated the Constitution and he shall be punished under the Article 6 of Constitution? Please, sir.
No. Let me tell you, in Pakistan, we say, like, I want to use this particular thing for Pakistan, like, the law is always being made for the rich. Like, the law always supports the rich. The Constitution always supports the rich. Like, if you are like a holy cow in Pakistan, the holy cow, like, I don't want to use it for any certain institution. I want to use this particular word for the whole elite. If you are an elite, a part of particular elite circle or that particular power elite, no one can touch you, whatever you will do. So the thing is, like, I will not like to go into the legal grounds of this particular issue, whether like the deputy speaker should be tried or not. The question is why speaker was absent, why speaker was not there. First of all, the speaker should be punished. He doesn't have any like legal like health issues. He doesn't have any other problem. Why he remained absent from such an important session and allowed his deputy speaker to lead the particular session? So no one asked this question. But the thing is, like, yeah, there were like major issues like violations from both like the PTI part and the other opposition part. But the thing is, whether the constitution was violated or not, the constitution was violated by the both sides. By the Imran Khan government, from the Imran Khan government side, and by the opposition parties. But the thing is, the judiciary and the executive didn't play their actual role in this whole episode. Are you getting me? So this was the biggest problem. So in my opinion, like the deputy speaker should be tried. If the deputy speaker should be tried, then the whole legal violation, like whatever, like the constitution was how the constitution violated in the parliament during the time of the vote of no confidence, like this whole should be taken into account. It should not be like, if let's suppose like tomorrow, if Supreme Court decides like to trial the deputy speaker for that particular thing, what he did in the parliament, definitely right now Imran Khan is enjoying the huge popularity in Pakistan. It will become a huge civil mess in the country. It will become like a civil war in the country if something happens. And Supreme Court again will become the controversial. That's why in my earlier question, like in the first question you asked, I said like the Supreme Court should have taken into account, should have taken the notice of the violation of constitution, whatever happened in the parliament. The constitution was violated by the both sides, by the Imran Khan, like by the ruling party and the opposition parties who were involved in this whole vote of confidence episode. The thing is, like, constitution was really violated. So if you ask me as my personal opinion, yeah, the deputy speaker should be tried. Why he can't, and the speaker should be also tried for this, why he was absent from such an important session of the country. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Right.
I don't know.
Right, sir. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, one more question. There is a question that do you think if a droid administrator is implemented, it could to some extent keep the executive branch from meddling in the affairs of legislature and judiciary?
This is I will give you the best example of the People's Party's government, after the Musharraf era. We have seen the executive branch has always been, though it seems powerless. We have a parliamentary system. The prime minister is always the dominant figure, in the political sphere in our country. But let me tell you, the presidential office is not the executive branch is not symbolical. It has certain powers. How? We have seen when Zardari became the president of Pakistan, this whole 60 billion episode. What he said, neither Supreme Court, neither NEP can trial me because I'm the president of this country. So I have the right, under the Article 248 of the Constitution. This Article 248 of the Constitution came into account. So the Constitution grants this article of the Constitution grants this immunity to this particular executive branch to stay to keep itself safe from the corruption cases or other cases. The thing is, the executive branch has never played a positive role in our country. If you take the example of Ghulam Ishaq Khan, how many times have the executive branch has dissolved the parliaments in our country? And those after dissolution of those parliaments, so what happened in our country? We have seen super coups in our country in the form of Musharraf, and which remained for 12 years. The thing is, the executive branch has never played its proper role. The executive branch used to say, okay, I'm symbolic and I'm a bit symbolic, and I should not interfere that much into the affairs of the politics. I should remain calm, and we will see whatever going. When the emergency comes, we will see about it. So recently, we have seen when Imran Khan was overthrown, and when this resignation letter was put forward, it took a long time to do this, to sign that particular resignation letter. So it became a big issue. The president was also from the same party, so the opposition start blaming the president is not playing the role of the executive, it's playing the role of a certain party member or this kind of thing. Are you getting me? So this is a big problem. So in every executive branch, let's suppose if the in Pakistan, what is our big problem is when a party comes to power, he tries his best to choose people from his own party to all branches of the parliament. To the all departments of the major departments in the country. Whether it's the case of an army chief, the party will always decide the army chief should be favorable, it should be good, if the person is good, and if person have a good positive side for me, so I should select him. Number second, the president should be from the same party, so I would not face any trouble from the executive branch. So if you if a party will decide this kind of things, then how there will be accountability among the institutions? So the executive branch has always been controversial, though it seems out of the spotlight in our country. But let me tell you, the executive branch has always remained controversial in our country if you look deeper into the issue. We can take the example from Ghulam Ishaq Khan until right now, till this day. Right now, President Alvi is the president, is still and though the opposition is ruling, but the thing is the executive is not playing the role of a certain executive branch. It's playing the role of certain party members. So this is not a good thing, I mean to say. The executive branch has not been functional. The executive branch should be made functional in our country. Unfortunately, for a long time, the executive branch has not been functional in our country. This is a big problem we are facing.
Right, sir. Perfect. Thank you very much, sir. Again, you defined each and everything of the topic in a very good, very excellent manner. Thank you very much, sir. Sir,
Tried my
it was almost last question of our today's session, sir. From the platform of Law Student Council, I really feel an honor, and Law Student Council really feel an honor to have you today in our session. Again, bundle of thanks, bundle of appreciations. Very much thank you, sir, to give us
You're welcome.
your precious time. And sir, if you want to add something in our today according about our today's session, please, sir.
The thing is, like, I don't want to like go further because we touched a lot of issues. But the simple thing is, like, first of all, I want to thank the Law Student Council for inviting me for such important session and about such an important topic, which is very difficult to explain. But I tried my best, like, as a political expert, though I'm not a legal expert. Just small knowledge about the legal matters. Like, I tried my best, like, to explain it. Like, if there were like some insufficiencies in the discussion, so I really apologize from the public and from the Law Student Council as a whole. The thing is, like, one last thing I want to say, like, you all guys are going to be the young lawyers in the coming years. So the thing is, like, being a young lawyer, a new generation within within the legal domain, I would suggest, like, you people should like do hard. You should struggle for the legal reforms in Pakistan. Pakistan really needs a legal reform, whether it's a criminal justice system or in general legal sphere. So the young lawyers can make a real difference. And let me tell you, the lawyers in Pakistan are the big force. They can do anything. As we have seen in 2008, they can bring such a revolution again in the country if they want to. The thing is the unity. The thing is about the real intentions, like whether they want to really positively contribute to the country's constitutional development or democratic development or not. The decision is yours. So as a young lawyer, like this is my being as a brother, being as an elder, like I would say, being as a senior, I would suggest this, like, you guys should like work like and struggle for the legal reforms in Pakistan because you are the future of Pakistan. If the lawyers, if the legal system is weak in certain country, then neither you can expect the constitutional development nor you can expect the institutional development in country. So our topic was this. So you guys are the future of Pakistan. You are going to decide the legal matters in the country. So you should like do a struggle to bring like the new reforms in the country, in the legal system.
Inshallah, inshallah.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Those who are watching us, commenting us, and thank you very much for their precious comments. And for today, it was up to that part. Till today, that was the session. And stay connected with us for our upcoming sessions. Till that time, Allah Hafiz. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.